Hey guys, welcome back to the new episode of Fly Me to the Philippines. I'm back. Honey, it's too big. I can't get it in.
Honey, I can't get it up.
What is it like for you to be in a relationship with an old guy like me?
Why are you so curious, guys? But anyway, I'm gonna share it with you right now.
I haven't told Chrissy yet, but we're going to ambush her with some questions. We want to know what's going on inside the Filipina head. What are they thinking when they date an older man? What is it like? I mean, she was married to a man in his 20s before she met me. Well, it must be different. How different? Let's find out. It was shocking. I opened the bedroom door. Chrissy was sleeping with another man. Did she have an excuse? She said she was related to the guy. I don't know. What do you guys think? Say, who's the other man?
It's my man.
Yeah, can you believe it? She said, yeah, well, so what about it? Take him to go play some basketball. You guys could be buddies. Who's the other man in all that?
It's my man.
Who is he?
It's my man.
It's not easy being with a younger woman, fellas. Let me tell you.
Honey, it's too big. I can't get it in.
What do you mean, Chrissy? I do it every day.
I can't get this in. It's too big.
Here.
Hey,
hey.
you're touching my private right there.
Honey, I can't get it up.
What?
I can't get it up.
It's too heavy?
Well, you're giving me quite a look there.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
I'm a little bit nervous.
it's a little sultry. Chrissy, at the end, I'm going to ask you just to boil it down and give us your single best kernel of advice for the guys watching back in the West, all right? People want to know how we met and what drew you to me specifically. What is it about me as an older man that gave you the internal green light to move forward with this relationship? How did we meet and what drew you to me? Now,
I can really tell that the very first week that we've talked that he's really sincere and his plan for his future with his future Filipina is really appealing. And also, I can find it very beneficial for me and for him,
So
and vice versa.
you're saying I had a plan.
He had a plan. He had a plan, a really good future plan. So, yeah, that's what interests me.
You know, we did post on our community page a poll, and we asked, what did people want for our next content? And number one was a tour of our new house, which we did a week ago. And it got a good reaction. And number two, people want to know what it's kind of going through your head in terms of what it's like to be with an older man. You say, I'm only the second man that you've ever been with. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. I am telling it to the public. It's true.
I think people are really interested in is, understanding your motivation. I don't know if you know, I watched YouTube just this morning, and it's one of the YouTubers that's been around forever. And he was telling guys that when you go online to these online dating sites, and Chrissy, that's how we met on Filipino Cupid. It was a miserable experience until we met. So this other guy said 15% of the women on apps like Filipino Cupid are legit. Everyone else is sour milk, bad, spoiled goods. He says these women in the Philippines, they get into bad relationships, they have a child, the man blows out on them, and then they go on these online dating sites trying to kind of put their lives back together. And I was like, wait a minute, Chrissy had a relationship, she had a baby, you were 29, and there you were in an online dating app.
Yeah.
But you were quite different than everyone else I'd ever spoken to. But what do you think about, and there was another vlogger who really came down hard on dating single moms.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about these two vloggers, telling people not to get involved with single moms, and the other guy saying that only 15% of the women are, properly motivated?
It's their idea, it's their opinion, it's their perspective about single mom, and I'm not gonna say they are wrong, and I'm not gonna say they are right, because they also have a point of telling about why you should not date a single mom. Because dating a single mom is like a little bit challenging because you will be dating not just one person, but there is a child involved with a relationship. And if you're not interested to take care of a child that is not yours, then it's quite challenging. But it's not that you don't have to or you should not, because there are a lot of single moms that they just they just got mistake in choosing the person in her previous life, like what people all do. It's not like they're a slut and they just had babies of different men. It's not that, like maybe some, but yeah.
So, another person wrote in, it was kind of a harsh comment because we've spoken and we said we're waiting a year to get technically married, maybe just a little bit more than a year. And he wrote in, gee, Rob, maybe you should wait 2 years, 1 year to get to know Chrissy. And then the second year you should have her son move in and see whether you still want to get married after a year. And I thought that was like, well, on one hand, it was probably good advice, but on the other hand, it was quite aggressive of him to share that on our channel. What do you think when you read that?
I don't feel bad about it because his advice is really good for most of men who's dating single mom, which is really important. Because if you are going to tie the knot after a year without experiencing the child with you, and then it will be too late for you to back out when the child is there because you're already married.
Sure.
So a year with you and the Filipina and another year with you, the Filipina and her child is like a good advice. But still, it's up to you and your Filipina. If it depends about it, it depends on you.
I think when you get engaged, you should be fully committed.
Yep.
But it's good to make sure you spend time. Anybody can act and pretend to be something they're not for a few weeks or a few months. But a year is a long time to keep the 10 pounds of Jell-O in the 5-pound wrapper.
It's so hard.
Yeah. I know.
Myself,
Like,
but
you made it 9 months.
we're almost.
Yeah, you made it 9 months. What do you think about this concept that, gee, we're only 9 months together, and here I am giving advice to other expats on how to meet Filipinas and how to understand the Philippines. These other vloggers have been here 7 years, 10 years. Should people listen to them, or the fact that it took them 8 years before they met somebody they proposed to, or that it took them 6 years before they met a Filipina that they wanted to settle down with, is maybe their advice not so good because they weren't very successful in meeting the love of their life. They dated and they had lots of relationships and they have lots of experience, but they weren't necessarily successful. And of course, time will only tell. I mean, here we are pounding on our microphone, saying that we're, all that, but a lot of the expats here, they were successful. They came, they married, they live with their Filipina. They haven't been dating around. In fact, almost all of the people we know in the expat community, they got lucky. They got their bingo. They came, they got their Filipina, and they're living happily ever after. They didn't move here boots on the ground style and roam around until they met their Filipina. And I don't know anybody who met their Filipina that way, even though it's given so often as good advice.
There's nothing wrong of taking an advice from the people who had just like a small amount of time of experience, as long as they have experience, because they can teach you
all the mistakes. Maybe if you make a lot of mistakes,
they can teach you based on their mistakes. They can teach you based on their success. So we are 9 months.
We haven't had as many mistakes.
Yes, and you can teach them of your success and struggles and mistakes that you have experienced during your previous datings.
Well, and I had 2 episodes of failure myself, but I just didn't commit to coming to the Philippines until I met you. And that was it. I was like all in once I met you. But I had 2 rounds of failure, several years apart. So I got some experience to talk about there. And you've also had some failure.
A lot. Like my previous marriage is my biggest failure in my life.
Yeah, you sort of have like post-traumatic stress syndrome, I think.
I will not disagree because I think, I agree with that.
So one of the things that is the most, of all the things that's unique about dating an older man that it just doesn't compute, is like you're so jealous of who I might be talking to, who I might be on the phone with. If I get a message and you don't know who it's from, it drives you crazy. I just find it so bizarre because you're so gorgeous and yet you're so worried about me. And we've talked about this once before, and your comment was, you're not so worried about me, you're worried about all the other Filipinas in the Philippines. So explain that to us.
Women in general, they don't like to have competitor, like we don't like our man to be exposed with other women, because it's men. They will be attracted to them. And as a woman, we like our man to be just attracted to us, which is very impossible because you have lives, you have issues.
I'm so much older. What makes you think that women are going to come chasing after me?
Well, it that only proves that I don't see our age gap.
Oh,
Like
I have no experience of being a cheater, so it's like for me, it's like a lot of work. Like every time you walk in the room, I'm like, okay, instead of putting my phone down and saying hello, I like keep my phone up so you can see what I was doing because that's the easiest way to put that issue to bed.
Yeah, because women, we have a lot of things that is playing on in our mind, especially if you have a very bad experience when it comes to relationship, and that will not die that easily. You will still have those memories. You will still have those trauma that you had in your past experience.
So you think if you were dating a man who was 35, you would be just as jealous or even more jealous?
Same. I think same.
Okay, so let's go ahead and answer the question of what is it really like to be with an older man? I mean, there's the physical. I'm physically not the man I was at 35. I'm all gray and getting older I'm getting older by the second here. So, the question is, when we first met in the airport, I think I've mentioned before, I was so worried that you would take one look at me and go, oh, he's so old, I can't do it. And I just was really worried about that. And I was in tip-top shape. I probably weighed about 15 pounds less than I do now. And but what were you thinking? Because you've never been with a Western man in person ever, right?
Ever.
Maybe your cousin got married or something. So you met one. You said hello.
I never had a long conversation with a foreigner.
Yeah, and never in person, like kind of. In person, yeah. So we met at Manila Airport, NAIA Terminal 3. What was it like for you in that first moment when we met?
Well, when I came out from the airport in the waiting area, I saw you, and then I hide in the big wall, and I was like, oh my God, am I ready to face this person? Like I can talk to him online with my English, but I don't know in person if I can still speak up. Like it's very difficult. Online, you will just like, okay, what is the English of? You can think, but in person, it's face to face, up front. You have to talk to, you have to.
But what about
and
when you laid eyes on me and you're like, he's really old?
No, I was expecting, because you were 66 when we met. I was expecting that, like a typical Filipino man, when they get 66, you will really tell, okay, he's really older, But when I saw you, I was like, I think you're lying with your age.
I pay her to say these things, by the way.
Yeah, but I was just like, but I saw his ID, so he's not lying. But you're really different.
Oh, so but did you were you really worried what it would be like to be with an older man before we actually met in person?
I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about me. I was afraid that I can't play my role as a girlfriend with you because of our age gap. You may find me very childish or very too young and immature, and I can't reach the level of your maturity. So that's what I was afraid. But of you being in the relationship with me as a partner, I am totally confident that you will be a good partner because you are experienced.
Well, but I think it would be... Sometimes I think to myself, gosh, what if I was 30 and I showed up in an airport and I met a 66-year-old woman? Like, what in the world? It would just seem... I mean, she might have a great personality, might have a lot in common, but like she'd just be so much older. I don't know that I could get past that. How do you do that as a woman?
Because we women, we like a man that is more mature and older than us. So instead of instead of like feeling awkward about the age gap, we feel like more attracted to it.
Yeah, but there's lots of comments that we're living large. You were wanting to go pay $300 a month rent in one of our episodes, and I'm wanting to live more with some Western comfort. We found paradise here. But so what kind of reaction did you get when you posted a picture on Facebook?
Well, I went back to my province like how many days ago?
Just 4 days ago?
Yeah, 4 days ago. So I have to pick up my son, and I met my old neighbors, and they were like, they will greet me. They will say that I am really look happier now, and I bloom.
So while we're talking about your family, what's their general perception of you getting together with a man in his 60s, later 60s? Actually, I'm 67.
What's important to them is that I'm happy and safe. They told me that when I told them that I'm gonna meet you when you're 66 and this and that. We're planning to live not near them. I told them about our future plans.
Yeah.
I told them that we're not yet getting married until a year or two. And they were like, well, you're a grown-up woman and we believe in you, we trust you, and as long as you're safe and you're happy, we will be happy.
Going back to the beginning, you were thinking about taking a teaching job in Vietnam. You had all your paperwork at the embassy, and that was a month or two away. You were getting pressured by a girlfriend telling you that it was a really good way to save up a lot of money because they pay you like 3 times more than a school teacher here, and then there's no expenses. And so you could bank 3-4 years of money, and away you would go. But you met me, and so the question is, what was it about meeting me that struck you as different? What was it about our initial meeting and then our subsequent romance that was unique? And what were you feeling about moving forward with the concept of actually maybe meeting in person and being in a relationship with a much older man?
You were very sincere and very practical. When I say practical, you didn't say, charming words just to attract me to you. You were presenting the plans as what will happen in reality.
So I have a detailed plan.
Yeah, detailed plan, not a fantasy. Like I'm gonna make you my queen, my princess, and like that. You really presented the plans that is realistic.
So instead of saying I'm going to bring you to America and you're going to live like a queen, I said I don't want to go to America.
Yes.
I want to stay in the Philippines. I had to talk you into it.
Yeah,
Because initially you wanted someone who's going to take you to the West.
yeah. I'm in between. Like if I can adjust. Like if someone is sincere with me before I met you, and then he want me to bring in the U.S. As long as he's sincere, I'm okay with that. But if someone will say I want to live in the Philippines, I'm sincere, then I'm also okay with that.
So let me ask you this: a lot of guys online in the expat groups, they're like, you're giving an allowance to your Filipina. You should never give a dime. Her family survived before I showed up, and they'll survive. You've probably heard that not all Western men are okay with the idea of contributing a little something.
Yeah.
Was it in your mind when we first met to try and figure out which side of the aisle I would fall on? Was that something you really needed to know or wanted to know?
So after a few weeks when we got serious, you presented to me that if I'm gonna stop working because you want a companion in the house.
I don't want to be alone. Yeah.
You're going to give me allowance, and that allowance is just to make me feel that I don't lost my income because I
Worked as a teacher.
Yes, I work as a teacher.
So what if a foreigner said to you, I don't believe in this nonsense. You're not a child on an allowance. Your family doesn't need, I'm willing to treat you like a princess, but there'll be no money for your family. And you just get what you get to keep the house going, and that they're welcome to visit and stuff, but I'm not going to make up for your lost income if you quit teaching and be my wife. What would you say to somebody like that?
If I am a Filipina that never worked before, I think I can put up with that because you cannot really feel the changes. Only you can feel is like the step up of your life, that you're living in a good house, and But if like me, that I've been working since I graduated in college, even in college I was working, that will make me feel the urge to work to because we want to buy stuff without telling our husband, hey, I want to buy this and I want to ask for money because we don't like asking for money. So if you're
Right.
gonna give your Filipina allowance, she doesn't need to ask you because she have an allowance.
Right. When we first met and
Yes.
you started to imagine yourself being the girlfriend, the fiance, the wife of an older man, what was that whole thought process like for you? What stages did you go through?
Stage 1 are differences. Because you are experienced and my experience is just half of your experience. There are things that I've learned from you, which is I never known before, especially when it comes to relationship, and also the society, how the society will look our relationship. So it's quite challenging, and but just a short period of time we overcome it, and I don't really care about it anymore about the society.
We don't get the stink eye here. I don't think you notice it, do you?
Yes, but when I get
Yes,
to
you notice it?
yes, I noticed
You
some.
notice some stink
Yeah.
eye. You do.
Yeah, but I stopped looking.
Oh,
I stopped, I just stopped looking at them. So
Yeah.
like,
you don't care.
Yeah,
And then we hang out with other expats, and they have younger wives. There's a great expat community here in terms of just blending in and not feeling awkward. I never really feel that awkward anymore. We go walking around the mall. I just don't feel.
Yes.
If anything, I think people think, God, this guy he's so lucky he met such a beautiful woman. That's what I think. If anybody's staring, it's like because people stare at a pretty woman, no matter where you are in the world. If you have a beautiful woman on your arm, people will stare. That's how I kind of feel if anybody's looking. They're like, wow, look at her.
Yeah, I just feel like, sometimes I just believe on the beautiful things that they might say rather than the bad things that they might say. So it's just up to you what you will believe then.
Okay, so now let's get to the practical side. You're waking up every day with a man who's over 65. What's it like? I mean, is it like living with your grandfather?
I didn't feel that because if I feel that, maybe I will be frank. Like, maybe I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sleeping with my grandfather. I need to go home.
It'd be horrible to hear that. Yeah.
But I didn't feel that. It's really nice to have a person beside you who will feel like the one that is guiding you, protecting you, and teaching you a lot of things than being with a person who is inexperienced and you need to learn together.
Yeah. So, but you're always chasing me around the house. What's up with that?
Because I want to be closer. I want to be closer to your phone.
Oh, you really?
Kidding.
I mean, seriously, I have to learn self-defense because you're like constantly after me. What's going on there? Are you figuring you better strike while the iron's hot before I get too old?
No, I just feel like I want to be close. You're like my my battery. I need you.
Do you think we have age-related differences, and how do we handle them? Like, can you think of age-related differences that we have?
When it comes to experience, when it comes to past experiences.
I don't make you like carry the heavy items or anything like that.
Oh, like, okay.
I still climb the ladders and do things like that.
Yeah.
We don't have those types of age-related experiences.
Yeah. Sometimes you carry me when I tell you to carry me.
Right. So, do we have age-related experience? I mean, I think that the one thing that
you sleep first.
I sleep first. Sometimes Chrissy stays up and watches videos. So Chrissy likes these shorts, like YouTube's shorts on YouTube, shorts on TikTok. And I don't like shorts. I like long form like we're doing here.
So I think that is what our age tells.
And that's the age thing is like, so she's always watching these like 30-second shorts and she's like, oh, that's so funny. Let me show it to you. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to see it. I'm not interested. So that's like me. And then here in the Philippines, they have these two things they do on the radio and on comedy shows. They're like laugh tracks. And how would you make the sound for the noise on the laugh track? Yeah, so So if you're in the taxi and the radio is being played, and it could be just any old AM station, you will hear that like every 7 seconds, and then they have a laugh track. What is the laugh? They have like, or is it a horn? There's a horn going off like this. I don't know what it is about the Filipino sense of humor, but like it's everywhere and you can't get away from it. And a lot of the videos Chrissy watches or the comedy, sometimes she'll watch some Filipino TV and the laugh track is just full of that. It sounds like a Woody Woodpecker type thing. That's the age-related thing I can think of. Can you think of any other age-related thing? Like, I do old guy stuff that you don't really care for?
Reading news.
I read a lot of news.
Yeah. Usually, especially these younger teenagers right now, they don't read news. They just do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and blah, blah, blah. But they don't really read news. I do sometimes, but unlike before that, I can read like really long lines. Because I'm getting old.
Do we have common interests or values, even though we have a big age difference?
Yes, we're both tidy and clean in the house.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we're both.
I'll do less work around the house.
Yeah, even though you don't work, but you like clean. You're not the kind of person that will just make a mess and don't care about it.
That's most Western men, I think. So, I don't drink much anymore, if at all, and you don't drink.
Yeah, I do.
But you're very, very religious, and I'm just a little spiritual. So that's a little difference.
A little difference.
And then I don't want to have any more children because I've already got 3 and 6 grandchildren.
Yes.
And you have 1 child.
Yeah.
And we agreed when we first met we weren't going to have children. You were not happy. There was a day or 2 or 3 when we were dating online where I wasn't sure if that might break us.
I was just thankful that I already have a child, because if I don't have a child, maybe I'm going to say no to you, because you made it clear that you don't want a child anymore. And, for me as a woman, being a woman will never be complete if you don't have a child, because being a woman means to bear a child.
So some people think that until you have a child together, your relationship is just superficial. It's not really cemented. And it can, if you have a big fight, since you don't have a child together, the relationship could break. Whereas if you're cemented together with a child, you'll always be in some sort of relationship.
I disagree, even though there's a lot of people that think that way. But my parents told us before, like, your love to each other came first before you had a child. So that love, what binds you together, not really the child. Child is just the fruit of your love together.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you don't have a child, you're not binded. You're binded by your love.
So you go back to the well a few times every now and then. You try and talk me into it.
I'm not really serious about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not really serious about it. I just want to get something from your head. Like maybe we will say, okay, I'll give you just one. And then I'll go, oh.
Well, I'm navigating the first year being away from my family and back in America. And it's progressing, but it hasn't been too smooth. Yeah, so that's part of the challenge of, when you're with an age gap relationship, your relatives back home, they don't always digest it as well as, there could be some indigestion, and we've gone through a little bit of that. I mean, everybody holds their breath for 3 months and thinks this thing may blow up, and this woman's like gold digger, and they're just going to wait for it to blow up and tell you, I told you so. But eventually they start to see you're living your best life. And I think they come around. Now, the age difference, why there's such a big age gap opportunity here is possibly because, the standard of living is a little bit lower here. And you're a licensed college graduate. You had to take a licensure exam for teaching. And your first few teaching jobs, you had to hike up through a river and couldn't come home. You had to spend the entire week at the school.
Yes.
And how much did they pay you for that teaching job?
That's 10,000 pesos.
So that's $182 a month.
Yes.
And you had to someone would drop you off. You would hike. How long was the hike up to the school?
like it's like a drive and drop, because it was really a risky road
Yeah.
up in the mountains. So if you're not be careful, you will fall into the cliff.
Right.
And or you will experience like huge flood, which you cannot go home because you cannot cross the river.
Right.
Very risky.
Yeah, and so only $183 per month you got to pay for your
Yes.
transportation, your lodging, your food.
Yes.
You needed money to give to your relatives if they needed money. How do you get by? How do you manage on $183 a month? Is it possible? You have to live at home. You have to live at home, right?
During that time, I don't have a kid yet, so it is possible to live, to support yourself, and also you don't have to go shopping and go buying because you will stay in the school. Like
And they'll feed you.
yeah, and
They would feed you.
no, but
You got to pay for your own food out of that $180.
you have to pay for your own food.
Okay. So, I'm going to put a chart up here of the average salary of a Filipino. What's considered poor, lower middle class, upper middle class, rich. I told you before, they've done extensive research, and $41,000 per year is considered rich. And having $63,000 in the bank is considered rich in the Philippines. Now, a regular teaching job, you're going to make like 25,000 pesos a month, which is like $450 a month.
Yeah.
It's a tough life here. Dating an older man who can provide financial security is a path. And I mean, for me, I think either Chrissy deserves like 9 Oscars for the best actress on the planet, or we've actually, got something real. I'm pretty darn happy right now. Can you boil it down, in like 30 seconds of an elevator ride? If you had to just give a kernel of advice, the single best piece of advice. A lot of guys that they can't handle these dating sites, and then they're being told, oh, you just show up, boots on the ground. But then when they get here, everyone's working and they're struggling with meeting people there. This whole age gap relationship, why Philippines? There's so many questions that people have. But if you could only give one piece of advice, your best advice, what would it be?
Just keep going. Be patient, and also be smart.
Well, what do you mean be smart?
Be smart. Watch out of the scammers. Watch out of the unreal person. Watch out of the gold diggers. You can only find out the real gold if you will melt it through a really high temperature. So it means if you're gonna go through to a really tough situation, that will be the time that
She'll have your back or she won't.
Yeah, if she will have your back.
So
or she,
trial by fire.
Yeah.
And so you got to come out here and you got to make a life together. Because if you just come out here and have a really great 30 days and propose and tell her you're going to move her to America, you're right back in a long distance relationship, and you'll never, will that be enough? 30 days out here in the Philippines? Maybe not.
30 days is not enough, but if you have that 30 days, it's a good start.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. Living together is like it's like the hard situation to escape of showing the real you.
Yeah, you love to spend time together. You're very.
Yes, I will attack Rob when he's having his coffee.
That's right. That's my rule. If I have hot coffee in my hand, don't grab my hand.
Like hot coffee and hot Filipina here. Like, oh my God, what's happening to me? I'm melting. Well, speaking of bumps into a relationship, I think it's a good sign if you are experiencing challenges and bumps in your relationship. It means you're
you bumps. I thought you said bombs.
your bumps.
The bumps.
Bumps. Like problem. It means your relationship is
growing pains.
Yes, because if it's been 3 years and you didn't even have experience a small argument, maybe the both of you is not yet showing what really you are.
Do you have anything else to add? You have your said be patient, and
be patient,
and the relationship needs to be trial by fire.
Yeah,
live with your Filipina for a year or more and figure out who she really is.
Show your weaknesses.
Oh,
because if you show your weaknesses, that's the time you will know if she will stay or not.
I say. Hire hard, interview, be patient, keep your standards high, love yourself, understand that you deserve the best. If you find it, jump all over it. But hire hard, manage easy. That was my philosophy in business. That's my philosophy in love too. Okay, till next time.
From Fly Me to the Philippines. See you on our next video.